I'm going to talk to you about the functioning of the coaching academy and why, in my view, most of the coaching academies are working on the wrong lines, and as a consequence, the defense aspirants are also working on the wrong lines. And the outlook of coaching academies, I can't change. It's up to the people who are running them to do so. But definitely, I'm speaking to the aspirants as to what they can do to understand that they don't go on the wrong lines and they prepare themselves to clear SSB in the correct manner, which is rationally sensible. Fine. So, first thing, let's start when the selection system started working. There were no coaching academy, and people still got selected. I do not know when the first coaching academy ever came up in India, but it would be safe to assume it would not have come up at least before 4 or 5 years of the selection system starting to work. And in those times, when there were no coaching academies, aspirants would have got selected. It's logical. And those people got selected. How, why and how they got selected? They got selected because they met the criteria of being selected. वो जो 15 OLQ बोलते हैं वो उनका ठीक ठाक था. And they did not know the definitions of these OLQs and all that. They were overall reasonably competent, and the selection system found them fit to be selected, and that's why they were selected. And I'm sure they would have made decent officers. So this is one thing. Now the other thing is the selection criteria when the first SSB ever took place have not undergone any change till date. The selection criteria remain to be the same. So now coaching academies have come up. Now coaching academies have brought the focus of the aspirants onto the SSB process, because actually that's what they see happening. Screening हुआ, फिर psychology test हुआ, आपने story लिखा, situation reaction word association things like that, self description में आपने लिखा उसमें चीजें. तो अब उन्होंने कहा कि भाई यही एंड ऑल है, इसी की प्रैक्टिस कर कर के अपने रिस्पॉन्सेस ऐसा मैनिपुलेट कर लो कि आप जो है सेलेक्टर्स को इंप्रेस कर लोगे. ओके, सो दे आर ट्राइंग टू डू दैट. नाउ आई विल टेक द थिंग्स वन बाय वन. Now, if you talk to any psychologist who was working the selection system and ask him this question honestly, that can an aspirant, by doctoring his responses from what his nature is and trying to project an image which is cultivated to get selected, is it going to work? The answer would be no. Because the psychologist will say, no, I'll find out, I'll come to know. Because the person will be unguarded at so many times. बात कर रहा होगा positive thinking की, and actually it may not be positive thinking. I'll give an example to elucidate this further. The situation was you had an SSB within 1 month and you met with an accident. So what will you do? Now, a person who is genuinely thinks positive, he will say in situation में कहीं नहीं दिया, मेरे टांग में चोट लगा या कुछ हुआ, एक्सीडेंट हुआ तो स्कूटर मोटरसाइकिल जो था उसको छोटा मोटा कुछ हुआ होगा, डेंट वेंट आया होगा, उसको ठीक करा लूंगा. तो where is the problem? I'll go and attend the SSB in 1 month and I'll clear it. Another person who has these thoughts, he will say कि नहीं मेरे से टांग वांग में कुछ हो गई होगी, उसको कराऊंगा ठीक वीक and all that. So I mean, you see, his psychology is different from the guy who didn't think, visualize any such thing. So that chap genuinely had positive thinking. इसका तो नहीं था. So he can't doctor such things. So you can't doctor these things for 60 responses, 60 stories, and 12 stories. Not possible. It will not work. Fine. So doctoring is not going to work. And that is what coaching people are trying to teach you. I just took example of psychology test. It goes same way for your GTO interview and things like that. Now I'll come to why the coaching academies work the way they work. To the best of my knowledge, till I started working, started No Frills Academy in 2014, I don't think there was any organization which was guiding defense aspirants by focusing on personality development and not the SSB process. I'm convinced that the methodology we are following is correct. That in case a person is competent in his day to day life, his or her life, then the person has high chances of being selected for any job, and that includes the defense services also. The only slight difference which comes or the selection criteria which do not is not of much consequence in the corporate world is of physical fitness. So you add on physical fitness, then the selection criteria for any job, high performing individual would be similar in defense services also. So that is what personality development entails. Fine. Now, why coaching academies are working the way they are working is because you see, I also went through the process of doing a theory leg for interviewing officer at the Defense Institute of Psychological Research, where I learned the theory part, some amount of practical. And then I did my practical training in 17 SSB Bangalore, and then I was cleared to become an assessor. And I functioned as an assessor in 17 SSB only as deputy president. Now, the thing is that through my theory training, practical training, I was cleared to do the job of an assessor or to pass judgment upon a candidate whether he or she is meeting the criteria to be selected. तो ठीक है, उसका ही ट्रेनिंग भी हो गया, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस हो गया काम करके, 2 साल जॉब भी कर लिया. But personality development never came in at all in that. I was just passing judgment on people. So now that I run No Frills Academy, the personality development aspects which I utilize to guide students were not taught to me by the selection system at all. Not at all. Those are the things which I picked up through my experiences, varied experiences. For example, I have been training boxers since the time I was a second lieutenant because I happened to be good at boxing. So I got involved in guiding these people. So I was picking up skills how to train boxers. It had nothing to do with SSB, but I was involved with training people. I was involved in training shooting teams to compete at a good level. I got posted in National Defense Academy where we were teaching cadets about life, service subjects, and things like that. So this was training, education. Thereafter, in the service life, we keep getting varied experiences. In that, training people is also part of that. So those were the things which were adding on to my, ability to train people or adding to my experiences. I also happened to work as a commandant of a counterinsurgency training school in Tejpur. So that was at a senior level, sort of as a principal of an institute, where we were deciding as to how to train people, methodology to train battalions, train individuals, and like that. So those are the things I was picking up. Later on, after leaving service, I was lucky. I got an opportunity to teach in Ashok Leyland Management Development Center, enhancing personal effectiveness. Now, this is a subject which came very proximate to the knowledge which I'm utilizing today. Enhancing personal effectiveness is a pretty broad concept that first a person makes himself individually competent. As a child grows, the child has to develop the ability to gain independence, that he is not dependent on people. Fine. So he has to develop various kind of skills and all that, which you all can understand and visualize. And thereafter, as a person grows in career, so he has to work with people. He has to work with teams. And as he grows higher in service or grows in rank, he handles teams, large teams. Let's say in the army, the person becomes the chief of the army. There's a big, and brigade, division. There large number of troops are there. He is controlling them. So at that point of time, the person has to work on the principle of interdependence because the world is interdependent. I can't stitch my own clothes. I can't cut my own hair. I can't, diagnose my ailments and all that and come up with treatments. Or in case if I try and do that, the time required to acquire all this knowledge will be hell of a lot. It will not be economically viable for me as a person. It will make sense to consult a doctor who's been formally trained in that and take his advice for that, and do my work to earn my livelihood in the fields which I have knowledge. That makes economic and practical sense. Fine. So, these are the aspects of personality development, which have not been learned by the assessors. And what these people are trying to do is what they learned, definition of OLQs, identification of OLQs, through various means and all that. Now they're trying to teach that to the aspirants who want to join the defense services. They don't need that knowledge. That information is no use to them. They need to enhance their overall competence. So for most people, see, if most aspirants, if you're a student, so you should be a competent student. And additionally, your physical fitness should be pretty okay, and your general awareness should be okay. And if you're a worker, then you should be a competent worker in whatever field of work that you're doing. And along with that, your physical fitness and general knowledge should be okay. That should render you fit for selection. That is all what aspirants should be focusing upon. But the coaching academies, why they do what they do is I have explained. So please try and understand these aspects. Draw your own conclusions. I have no connection with God. I just happen to run No Frills Academy. And I've been working now for over 10 years. And with the methodologies we follow, we've had a decent success rate. Over 600 people have qualified through our guidance program. So that is what it is. So please, understand this aspect of personality development. This is the right area to focus upon rather than focusing on the SSB process to succeed at SSB. Thank you.